So I'm a rental property owner. I own a vacation rental in the Orlando, Florida market, and the recent data for rental property owners has not been very encouraging. A recent report came out that said in 15 major cities, year over year rent per available Airbnb listing is down 35% or more, including Orlando, Reminas. Um, and there's a lot of fear for a few reasons. One, it's not just Airbnb. Of course, Airbnb makes its revenue as a percent of its bookings, but there's also a fear that this could lead to a flood of vacation homes hitting the market as owners are finding out they're not making enough money on them to justify keeping them. So this story kind of hit near and dear to me because I am a vacation rental owner, and I can tell you firsthand my vacation rental in Orlando is not making what it did last year. So there is some truth to this. It's not down 35% like the data indicates. And if you look at this is from one of these rental data aggregator sites. There's another one called AirDNA that's a really big one. And they found that the average decline was closer to 4% year over year, which is much more palatable. And in my experience, it's between the two. I'd say mine's down 15 to 20% year over year, depending on the month. Um, but in terms of revenue, it's bringing in. So, should we be concerned about Airbnb, Tyler?
I don't think so. Yes, the problems that you said are real and are going to impact the financial statements of this company. You can't say that that won't exist. I mean, yes, there are some ways to offset that in the United States where like there may be less revenue per house or per rental, but if more houses or more rental opportunities are available, you also have the Airbnb experiences where they're trying to, branch out into a couple ancillary sort of topics. That can offset a little bit, but I think the bigger thing to really focus on is, and I see this a lot with investing, is we tend to be very American centric. But if you look outside the United States, Airbnb's rental rate revenue is still growing at rates almost double what they are in the United States, and in some certain markets they are actually even higher than double. Let's see, I have it up for a minute here. Latin America in the first quarter of 2022, it was higher than 22% higher than the first quarter of 2022. Europe, Middle East, and Africa up 21%, and then in Asia Pacific it was up 48%. So there is a lot of other growth levers for Airbnb to pull that isn't necessarily tied at all to the North American, particularly the United States rental market. This is a business that has operations in, it says 220 countries, which I don't know if 220 countries exists. I think that's a lot of like regions and territories added in there, but it makes for a nice sounding number. But with that many opportunities outside the United States, especially in Asia Pacific, where the post-pandemic, kind of pent-up demand is still very much being released. I don't see this being an issue that's going to affect anything really short term, and may just end up being a short blip on a long-term trajectory for Airbnb.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And it's really important, like you said, to point out that this is really a truly international company. And the real estate craziness that we saw in the US in 2021 through late 2022 didn't happen all over the world. That was it was I don't want to say US specific because there were some other markets that went pretty crazy too. But the international markets are really a big part of the Airbnb growth thesis. I more worry about what I said earlier about a flood of vacation rentals coming on the market because there's never been a period where people bought more vacation homes than during the COVID pandemic. And now people are seeing that they're not making the money that they thought they were. They're having to come out of pocket for the mortgage. They're having to come out of pocket for expenses. And I'm worried that we could see a flood of vacation homes for sale. We're already seeing that in the community where I own a property. The number of listings, and this is just anecdotal, but the number of listings over the past 3 months has doubled on the MLS. So Is that just because we're getting toward the summer selling season, or is it people giving up on their rental investments? That's what I'm more concerned about, not the impact on Airbnb, because vacation rental demand is going to come and go cyclically. It's more about growing the platform in a sustainable way, bringing hosts, making onto the platform, and keeping them happy. And Airbnb seems to be doing a good job at that. All right.
Cool. Yeah, that was what, 7 or 8? That was a good session.
Stop.
Once again, thank you so much for joining me. Be sure to click subscribe if you don't subscribe to my channel already. And as always, this video is sponsored by The Motley Fool. Be sure to visit www.fool.com/Frankel to receive the top 10 best stocks to buy now.